Previously on Chief Concerns.
Even at your age, coming in for a third down or second and short, just being a blocking tight end, you could do that nowadays, dude.
Look.
You don't exist anymore.
Hey, I get Clyde Hilaire, I'll get him in the end zone.
Yeah.
You can best believe that. You can run by, hey, look, you get on this back, you can run behind me. I'm going to open that hole for you. I promise you. You'll see a segment, I think the one that you sent me, that Mel Kiper says on there, well, there was a question about his work ethic and, if he's going to do the things necessary during the off season. And I was sitting over and I was just absolutely blindsided with somebody saying something like that about me. And I told you, look, man, I was raised on a farm. All I knew was hard work. And so it was just so disappointing to me that Mel Kiper would say something like this without even citing his source. And I'm blocking Reggie White, just blocking him. Don't hear nothing. For about 3 quarters, the man don't say a word to me. Not one word, not a grunt, nothing. I'm just like, man, this man ain't talking, he ain't said nothing to me all game, right? My boy's like, look, man, just wait. So finally, man, I made a block and our running back took off about 50 yards. And I walk him back, bam, Reggie White passed me on my butt. He was like, hey, man, good block. I turned around and was like, hey, thank you, Mr. White. I put my hand up there, called him Mr. White and everything.
It's the corner where the treats at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you landed here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the war field.
Hey, guys, welcome to Chief Concerns, and we got the full crew back. Eric's back from his week-long trip in Vegas. Eric, how was the trip, buddy?
It was a lot of fun. I never imagined that a sport that I've enjoyed would get the best of me. But, I mean, when you're getting old and you can only do so much, with having so many physical ailments, golf doesn't seem that hard. But in the grand scheme of things, it'll wear you out, man. That's a lot of twisting and turning, and having that sun beat down on you for 4 or 5 hours will get the best of you. But it was a guys' golf trip. We enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun. Stayed away from the gambling. Didn't do much of the strip, but I got to at least do a little sightseeing. Went by Hoover Dam and took some pictures out at Caesar. So I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Yeah, I know last week we missed it, but we held it down. We did have a question that we wanted to ask you. So a new rule that the Chiefs are proposing is allowing skill players to get into the single digits. And we know you were number 3 in college and you were number 44 in the NFL. Now, if you could go back in time, if this rule was around, would you have changed your number from 44?
If given the opportunity, I would definitely have asked for a different number than 44. So my situation was completely different. So I playing safety my entire career, my number happened to me the same way it happened to me in high school. Like I was, asked to play with, I wouldn't say asked, but they brought me up to play with the varsity team when I was in high school. So they gave me this big number as 45. All the juniors and seniors had all the good numbers per se. So 45 is what I took. 45 is what I stayed with. So all of a sudden I get drafted by the Chiefs, and again, all these other numbers were given away. I didn't have a say into what number I could choose. So I get to my locker, I got a name with the tape and a Sharpie with your name written on it, and all of a sudden you got this uniform in your locker. So I just took what was given to me, and after a few months of practicing with that and making the team. I kept it because it was something that was dear to me to help me to make the career actually that I wasn't expecting to have. So, I never thought that I had hopes to be me. I thought I was going to be a track star, but I never got to run in track in college. And so that never, came to play. And so when football came, I'm just trying to find my way in it, as an athlete, basically, and not really knowing what football numbers to wear. I just knew that 45 and 44 were high numbers for a DB. And so everybody knows who Deion Sanders is, and he was like basically one of the founding fathers of what DBs are and strive to be. So any numbers in the 20s, plus, I wanted the 23 to be like Michael Jordan, and all of a sudden we get to college. I get to college, and it was all the guys from my freshman year. We decided we were just going to have our numbers to run in sync with each other, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that's how we did it there. That's why I ended up with the low number there. So if I could have gotten a 3, I would definitely have given myself a number 3 for the Chiefs. But like I said, when they gave me that number, I just took it with a big smile on my face and did what I needed to do to make the team with it.
So you saying that you didn't have a chance or opportunity to at least have options? Like they didn't give you like at least 5 numbers?
Look, man.
Wow.
Well, JD, you haven't been in this position though. You haven't been in that position. So when I get to Kansas City, like they had drafted corners. Yeah. They had Dale Carter, James Hasty, Mark McMillan. We had like 6 other guys that were on the team, free agents. So I didn't know what number to even ask for. I was asking, I did say, hey, is that number 3 available? I think. Yeah. And at the time, the NFL's got so many rules where, heck, you got to have your socks up so high. You got to cover your knees up. Jerseys have to be so long. And then your numbers have to go in sync. Certain numbers can only be worn at certain positions.
Right.
So those numbers were ineligible for DBs. So I couldn't ask for that number anyway.
Right. And I guess you have to wait till guys get cut,
Heck yeah.
Hey, look.
But also, James Hasty wore number 40. So I'm like, okay, I'm right there behind James. So I'm not that far off.
Right,
so,
right.
44 is kind of in the linebacker department. I don't even know too many safeties.
Linebacker department and almost like getting into like an
special
tight end. Yeah, special teams. Like tight ends is 40s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, fullback too.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'll say I had a 40 number when I first got to Kansas City E, and I got 89 because that was the same year that Andre Rison was there. And so
that is true.
Rison ended up leaving. I guess that summer I was like, yo, Rison, you don't mind if I take his number? He's like, nah, man, go ahead, man. You got it. So, I was like, shoot, I want this 89 because I was 87 in Kansas City. But when I got there, same thing. The numbers. Our numbers are already taken. Wide receivers. I'm like, daggone, you just at the bottom of the totem pole when you first get there as far as numbers, right? You just waiting.
Yeah.
Just waiting.
And so it's like, even when I went to New England, so I was like, okay, that's my number, 44. So I was hoping I can go there and get 44. I couldn't even do that. I couldn't even pay for my number because Heath Evans had it.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
Damn. Well, I mean, that's one thing, as I was like saying to you, like I can't think of another, like Heath Evans, Lee Suggs are the only 44s that come to mind, but Eric Warfield's right at the top of that number 44 list. So it's a very distinguishing number. So, 23, you think of Jordan, 44, I think of Eric Warfield.
That's what's up. Legacy.
All right. So we're gonna get in for this week. We have a couple things we said last week. JD's gonna go into the tight ends that he likes in this draft class, and then he also mentioned to a couple of fan on Twitter. He's gonna talk about some of the left tackles he likes. So next week, Eric, if you could give us your top 5 corners before we head to the draft, or the guys that you like in the draft, to give us a little breakdown of the corners that maybe struck out interest of you.
Even jumping the gun on that, there's some favoritism in there because I have some guys that I played with and their sons are like top of the crop, Asante Samuel, Patrick Surtain, Joe Horn. So like, I think all 3 of those guys are like, in the top 5. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, for sure.
Where they go.
And talk about legacies, it's going to be interesting to see those guys flourish in the NFL just like their fathers, and they'll be awesome. Yep. But before we get into the tight end breakdown of Jason, so this past week, a fan favorite, I was calling like a training camp all-star and preseason superstar, Jody Fortson, he posted a video. He was a receiver, He posted a video, and he also, in that video that went on Twitter, he also said that this tight end is looking to, do work this upcoming season. Yeah, I don't know. That wasn't the exact quote, but he said he called himself a tight end. Now, we've seen in recent years, Darren Waller went from receiver to tight end, and he's, amazing. He's look at his stats, look at his numbers, they speak for themselves. This guy's 6'6", 230. He runs about a 4.8 40 based on his combine numbers. He's from Valdosta State, so D2 school. And people love him. He's like the Bobby Scipio of the last 2 years, of people loving this guy during training camp and stuff. What are your thoughts on, I guess, how big of an adjustment is it from a receiver from a receiver to tight end? And I know in this day and age it's a little different than when you played, but how kind of a big of an adjustment is that?
It's this day and age, as far as like the offense is what they do. It's not that big of an adjustment, especially if you're just going to be a pass catching tight end, right? And Waller, who made that transition, just pretty much became that. And it's really based off what you're asking these guys to do out there at tight ends. So if he's just going to be a route runner catching footballs so he can, just line up against linebackers and safeties, then he's your type of guy. Now, I think we already got that guy, right? If I'm not mistaken, we got a guy named Travis Kelce up there right now. He's catching
I think so.
Footballs. Yeah. So, and not taking nothing, away from him, but, we're looking for somebody else who is going to be able to come in and maybe do some inline blocking, be able to block a little bit more effectively. And so he has a skill set, and which is absolutely going to work in his favor. And I'll tell you what, I watched a little bit of his workout, man. I like his game. And being from Valdosta State, man, he's going to have that dog in him. I know he's going to come out here, he's going to play hard, and he's going to be hungry. So that's a great thing, man, because he wants it. I've seen a little bit of his, his Twitter page, but you could just tell his attitude about wanting to come out here to play. The thing is, when you're talking about getting out there, getting reps, what is that going to mean? So that's my take on it, man. But I hope the best for him, man. I love to see him out there playing. Like I said, he's going to have that about him. But the thing is he's going to be able to take some reps away from Travis Kelce, and he's going to be able to add on to what you want him to do as far as like in the blocking game as well.
Yeah, man. Football is based on athletes. Like, I'm talking about guys that are all around athletes. And heck, we see two right now that are top of the crop as far as stat-wise and what they've done, accomplishment. Both are Hall of Famers, and Tony Gonzalez and Antonio Gates, basketball player, Hall of Fame tight end. Travis Kelce was a tight end, was a basketball player also. So, heck, I even think Jason was, pretty good athlete of basketball and track.
That's right.
I think he's kind of like not Will Shields, but what's my big guy name?
Shields.
No, Will Chamberlain. He's gonna tell you all these stories, but we don't have any footage on him.
Hey, I told her I had to do like this. I could blow the dust off of some of these things. You know what I mean? And get them. I got some film though, E. I got some now.
A picture of you holding up 50.
Yeah.
Doing like this with the camera. You don't run the camera. Oh man.
Yeah, but so there's very few guys on a football team that aren't able to play multiple sports and be good at it. So I think transitioning is just a matter of, what you can do for a team. The guy, who was that? The guy from Seattle, Stevens. I think he dated the soccer player.
Oh, Jeremy Stevens.
Yeah, it came out of nowhere. Basketball player also. And it's just perfect timing for him, and it worked at Seattle. And then when he went somewhere else, it didn't. But I think the right time, the right place, it can work for anybody. And like JD said, it's just a matter of what kind of tight end that you want. Now, the thing with people like Kelce may not be the best blocker, but him being so good in routes, you have to be hesitant. You can't just blast off the line and to try to get to the quarterback when your defensive coordinators want you to get a chip on him to slow him down. So you have to be hesitant to see what he's going to do. And he didn't have to be the best blocker because it doesn't take very long to hold his ground to keep that defensive end from going up the field so quick. And having that running back get through a hole or giving that quarterback an extra step. So there's a difference in what tight ends bring to the game. And, when you have a guy like Kelce and Kittles and the guy over at the Raiders, what's his name we just talked about? I forget. Waller. Yeah, Waller.
Yeah.
They create so much havoc and open so much up for the offense, whether that's the running game or the passing game for the receivers, because it's so hard to have safeties nowadays to come down and cover one of those guys one-on-one. You might have to double team those guys, and then you're leaving these, phenomenal athletes that we call receivers that some of the tallest and fastest people out there to go one-on-one. So it kind of starts with the tight end to where they're causing more havoc for defenses to focus on and to shut down. So when you get a guy like Kelce and Kittle and Waller, man, it creates so much havoc trying to stop them and opening up the offense so much. So to get a guy that's a former receiver with his size and speed and the way they run their routes, it should be an easy transition. Yet it's going to be a more physical transition. So if he can do it, more power to him. I'd like to see it happen. Kelce is getting up there in years and, still productive, still the best at the game. But when you're getting up there in the years, you do like to find a new protege to take over or follow in those footsteps.
Man, matter of fact, thinking about this, it kind of reminds me, same thing about Michael Ricks. Shout out to Rixie.
Yeah.
Who came in and Ricks, and here's the thing, because Ricks was able to stretch the field, right? Coming in from San Diego, was able to stretch the field, but the limited part was, okay, well now in the running game, is he going to be able to get out there and be physical, right?
Yeah.
So we had him and Tony, but like the aspect of like stretching the field vertically, hey, no doubt about it. And so that's what I would say. He has that element to his game, right? We know he has that element to the game. Is there going to be something that you just add on as far as offensively and saying, well, maybe now the receiver aspect of it, you look for a guy on the inside and then let Tyreek play on the outside even more. You know what I mean? And so we know it's all about matchups in the league. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Athletes, more about matchups. But shoot, if you're taking away from the aspect of you're running the football effectively, if a guy can't block, he just can't block. And then he becomes a liability. You don't want to. Yeah. And I'm not saying he will be. I'm just saying if he works on that game enough, and I think he needs to just probably more so concentrate on focus on that part of the game, he'll be fine. Shoot, man, he might be the guy we're looking for, right? To be honest with you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, that's the reason why I bring it up, because it's tight end. A second tight end is kind of what we've been talking about on the show for since during the year. When we see Kaiser, flub on some of his blocking assignments and also dropping passes too. So it could be something where we get another weapon in there, and then if they do, if he does, I guess repetition of the blocking, become a solid number two guy that could be another weapon for us. Especially when Watkins is gone and, is filling the void in other ways. And if we do draft another guy, that's a welcome as well. All right. So our next concern, so it kind of broke 2 weeks ago, but then there's been some updates I've seen on Twitter. So an old friend alert is a former teammate of yours, Jason, former chief safety, the bone crusher, Bernard Pollard. He's coming out of retirement. He's 36 years old. He's been away from the game for 6 years. And now he plans on coming out and playing at 220 pounds. I remember when he came out for the draft, people said, oh, he's safety. He could be a linebacker. I mean, you can kind of put him all over the field. But now he says he's ready to go. And also, apparently, he said he's already spoken with the Chiefs. Now, who knows what the extent of the conversations were for that. But just upon seeing this, a guy coming out of retirement at 36, what are your initial reactions to seeing this?
You want to go first, E?
I mean, to be honest, I don't see it happening just because of the speed of the game. And I know Pollard knows the speed of the game. And he knows when after sitting out that long, man, a missing a step is more than missing a step. When you get, you got young guys coming in each year, getting bigger and faster. So, more power to him if he's able to do so. I don't know what he's done to keep himself in shape, to keep himself up at top speed. But yeah, it's not. I don't think it's an easy transition. I guess, but if he's able to do so, more power to him. I like the two that we have. So I'm not going to sit there and say we need him. I'm not going to say he's the key piece that we need or we want. So if he's able to do so, I take my hat off to him.
Yeah, I had to say it, man. B-Pop, man. Good dude. Pretty kind of famous for all the booty popping he did on the video in the locker room. If everybody don't know who he is, so that's B-Pop, man. Good dude though. So, and I'm like with you, E. If he's able to come out there and do it, make a transition, and able to keep up with the young guys, hey man, more power to him. You know what I'm saying? True, that's the guy I'll be rooting for. I'll root for a guy 36 years old trying to make it back. And that's the main thing. If you're able to make the roster, shoot, by all means, shoot, open it up. No doubt about it. He made a roster. Kudos to him. And it is tough. It is tough. And we look at guys that I remember playing against, Darryl Green, who was like 40 when he stopped. But Darryl kept playing all the time, and he was always like the fastest one in the NFL. He was always the fastest player in the NFL. So when you were the fastest player in the NFL, even if you miss a step, you still faster than everybody else. So I was saying with D Green, I don't know if he's in good shape, and I don't know what he's been doing. If he's been out there maybe practicing with some of these guys and maybe at camps with some of these guys during the off season, he's just thinking, look, I keep up with these dudes. I can cover these guys. Maybe he's working out maybe with some top wide receivers. If he's been doing that, then yeah, fine. And it's all about just making a roster. But I hope he makes it. If he doesn't, then shoot, go on, give it a shot, man. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Why not? So if you think about coming out of retirement, man, I got your back, brother. You know what I'm saying?
Me?
Yeah, you. Yeah, if you want to come out, I got your back.
I wouldn't even be a good water bottle. I couldn't get you a water bottle in time. Y'all throw this down there.
But now, man, seriously though, man, yeah, Bernard, man, he's a good dude, man. If he's able to make it and the team see it and they're talking, I know they're gonna give him a fair shot to make the roster. And like I said, if he makes the roster, man, I'll be one of the first ones to cheer him on for sure.
But the game has also changed since he played, though, JD. Like it's not Bernard's a hitter.
Yeah, he is.
You can't come up and make big hits anymore. That's either selfless, not selfless, but what does it call it? It's a personal foul one way or the other.
Oh yeah.
So you got to be able to be a playmaker nowadays, and knowing how to hit, when to hit. And I'm pretty sure he studied enough tape to see and understand that. But that's not a part of his game. He's a punisher. He's always been the one to come up and make the big hits.
Right.
So, but I mean, maybe he's picked up, some extra steps and he's worked on his speed and agility to be able to go out there and keep up with these young guys. I don't see it happening, but I won't be pessimistic about his return if he's able to do so. Like I said, I like to see it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, 36 years old, it's obviously the point that you made, Eric, being out of the game for 6 years. If you're just 36 and you're still playing with teams and stuff, you're just 36, then just a 36-year-old DB. But the fact that he's been out for 6 years and then coming back, that's a good point that I didn't even think about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And also another, he's a number 40 DB alum with the Chiefs, number 49.
That's true.
All right. So finally, as we promised, many of our viewers and listeners on Twitter and YouTube commenters, that we're going to hear from Jason on his top tight ends in this draft class. Now, Jason, who are you looking at in this draft class, man?
Ooh. So who am I looking at? Who am I looking at for the team? Is that we look? So what I'll do, I'll give you my top prospects for tight ends right now. And where I think that we have a chance and opportunity to maybe get guys maybe in the 4th or 5th round, maybe with their 1st or 2nd pick. But right now, I don't think that tight end is one of those issues that is very important, that we need to be thinking like, oh, we need to get this guy in the first, second, and third. I don't believe that. I think we can find somebody that is a great tight end, probably in the 4th or 5th round. So, of course, the first one we start off, man, we're talking about, Kyle Pitts, right? Kyle Pitts is going to be a first-round pick. He's going to probably be one of the top 5 guys taken without a doubt, just because of his athleticism, what he brings to the team. He's just phenomenal. And he's just another one of those guys, like, same dude. He's somebody that runs route well, and he's big enough to block, put his nose into it. So I like I like Kyle Pitts. Now
I'm gonna cut you off, JD. One second. Tell me, both of y'all, what do y'all know about Kyle Pitts besides the information that's given pre-draft? Because to be honest, I watched some of Florida's games. I watched quite a bit of college football. I don't recall hearing his name throughout much of anything. And all of a sudden this draft comes up, and what he's done, combine wise, he's like the number one best thing out there. And I never really heard of Kyle Pitts.
You know what, man? I'm gonna be honest with you, this past year, as far as just watching college football, I didn't really watch a whole lot of it. And so what I was getting back was just kind of evaluating some of the film that was out there, just seeing how he moved, how he, was catching football, in traffic, one-on-one with guys, his hip movement, all those different things. So pretty much it was, I'm right with you, E. Some of these names is coming up, as far as tight ends wise. And even like when I was in the NFL, I didn't really watch college that much to know who guys were that was coming back, was coming out, to be honest with you. I just never really focused on that part of it. So, but I mean, Kyle Pitts, because of what he was able to do physically and athletically, everybody's just on top of him. And then when you look at his tape, he jumps out on you on the screen. And when you got a guy like that that jumps out on you, when he jumps out, you're like, oh, okay, this guy is a real deal. So, I mean, he's a real deal, man. So that's what I was looking at. Just some of the stuff over his highlights, some of the film, just kind of watching him. I'm like, okay, yeah, he's a real deal, though. Yeah.
Now, did you know a lot about it, Marcus?
I watched a few Florida games, and he was like the only offensive weapon that I really noticed. I wasn't like, oh, this guy's gonna be the number one overall player in the draft.
I think the quarterback was up for I think he was in the top 5 for Heisman pick during.
Yeah, Trask was out there. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was top, and all of a sudden it's the tight end now. So
yeah, Trask isn't getting any love actually. They have him in the 2nd or 3rd round.
Okay, well, go ahead, JD.
All right. So my number 2 was the Brevin Jordan. Brevin Jordan, another guy who's more of a pass catching tight end. And look, I'm gonna say this, the top 3 guys are really pass catching tight ends. What teams are looking for. And it was like Brevin Jordan, Pratt Furman is another, a Fury or whatever his name is. But then I started getting into like guys I started looking that the Chiefs can get that are good blockers. And some of these guys could be decent inline blockers, but also too kind of lined up in the backfield, getting through the whole block of linebackers. So my number 3 guy was Tommy Tremble. Tommy Tremble from Notre Dame, man. I watched him, and he's a physical guy. He loves going in and just loves contact. And the thing is, he hunts to hit someone. And it's a rare thing to do. Like the guy that you see as H-back, he's looking for the guy to hit. He don't mind sticking his head into it. So I love that aspect about him because he's always just looking for, the physical things about it. Another guy, Trey McKitty. Trey McKitty, man, from Georgia, right? So, he's another guy, man, that just is a physical dude. He likes, going in. He runs great routes, but he don't mind hitting guys. And I like tight ends who don't mind hitting, who's not trying to olay guys and just get in front of them. This guy's trying to stick his head in, and he's a good inline blocker. So I like him a lot. So I think those 2 guys could actually fall into the Chiefs' laps a little bit later. And if we don't have him, I think we could probably get Hunter Long. Hunter Long is another guy that from Boston College, and big guy, kind of burly. You know, he's got a big presence about him. And he's kind of underrated, I think, a lot. And I think you could bring this guy in and he'll do wonders for the team. It can make some plays, will shock you as far as like catching the football and actually getting down the field. So he's another guy.
That's probably my favorite, by the way, JD.
Really?
Outside of Pace, but Hunter Long. I mean, his player comp. I was watching him play and like just seeing highlights and stuff, and it looked like to me it had a little bit of Mark Andrews in him. It kind of reminded me of a little Mark.
Yes,
his ball ability, and he's not a bad blocker too. So that's I love that, and they have him going late in the draft based on mock drafts I've seen. So that's my personal favorite so far of those guys.
Right. So then we go to like the physical presence. Tony Pollard from Virginia, big guy. I think he's like 6'7", something like that, 6'7", 6'8", just a big, long, lanky guy. Who, if you just tell him put his mitts on people, he'll get just with his size alone, just get in the way. And he's
How tall are you?
6'6".
So Kelsey's taller than you?
No, Kelsey's like 6'4",
6'5".
Yeah. I'm 6'6". So it wasn't too many guys, tight end wise, that was taller than me. Everybody, you know what and sometimes I don't really realize how big I am. And then when I used to look at I mean, you know why? Shoot, we walk around the NFL locker room. There's a whole lot of jokers walking around, 6'6", you know what I'm saying? 6'7". There's a few of them. But then I would look at pictures of us in the huddle, and I'm like, daggone, I'm about as tall, I'm taller than everybody else, So I don't know. I don't know why it never just really dawned on me. Maybe because I was just around big people. And then when I retired and I started walking around like normal sized people, everybody started looking at me like, dang. Like I was this big old giant just walking through. I don't know, man. Yeah, like a circus freak. But my last guy on this is Nick Eubanks, now from Michigan. Now, I don't know why, they're kind of down on this guy, but I think, he'll be a nice fit for the NFL. And maybe it's just, I don't know. I don't want to speculate. But sometimes what ends up happening, if a guy's not as productive in some other years, and then all of a sudden you have a little bit of expectations for him to be better and, more. Sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes the offense is the same. Sometimes the quarterback is the same. And then a guy's not as productive, but then you get down on him. Oh, well, he's not as good. Well, shoot, maybe he's not getting as many balls. You don't know what the conversation is at practice. You don't know what's going on, with him and the coaching staff. So I think, man, if he gets into the NFL, I think he's going to be a pretty good tight end. But those guys right now, I'm naming that the Chiefs would do well to get in the draft. Maybe the top three I said we won't be able to get, but at least, Tommy Tremble, Trey McKitty, Hunter Long, Nick Eubanks, and Tony Pollard. I think those guys could fall into the laps of the Chiefs, man, and will be better for it. So that's my assessment.
Awesome. And you Chief Concerns fans, you heard it here first. Jason Dunn, stamp of approval on tight ends in the draft right there. And next week we got Eric will give us a little he kind of gives us a little hint at where he would go with his top cornerbacks. But next week we'll get a little analysis from our resident cornerback in Eric Warfield.
Sweet.
There you go.
And all right, so our final segment tonight before we end the show is our Chiefs Kingdom Concerns segment. And tonight we have a YouTube commenter on us who's been 3 weeks ago. He commented saying, "How do I get on the show?" The guy told him to send me his email. He gave it. His name is Chris Wolfenbarger. I think that's how you pronounce it. He's coming on here tonight. He's got some questions for you two. We're gonna get Chris on right now. Hey,
what's going on,
Chris?
man?
Chris.
How are you guys tonight?
Doing well. Yourself?
Yeah.
Living the dream right here in Kansas City.
What part of Kansas City you in?
Pardon me?
What part of Kansas City?
Raymore.
Okay, know exactly where you're at.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Warfield, one of my appraisers that works for me, Tommy Sheehy, told me to tell you hi. He said,
"Oh, Sheehy, I got you."
So
tell him I said hi.
I most assuredly will. I'm rocking my Daniel Sorensen tonight.
Oh, see? Yeah.
And I just wanted to ask, who should I ask my question to first, Mr. Dunn or Mr. Warfield?
The floor is yours,
It's all
man.
you.
Well, if the floor is mine, then let's start with Mr. Dunn.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As Andy Reid being a former lineman, and the way your career ended up playing out, do you think he could possibly use a blocking tight end to help shore up that left tackle situation that we haven't managed to secure a veteran at?
I think so. I think they're probably exploring that option right now, to be honest with you.
Outstanding.
Yeah, and some of the guys that I named in this segment is that I think you can get in the draft, maybe 4th or 5th round, that could help out tremendously in the inline blocking. And so you always look for a guy that can give some help, maybe be able to chip. And you might not want to live in on a running back, but a guy like a tight end, H-back type of guy,
Yes, sir.
would definitely be able to do it. So I know Andy's thinking about that. I mean, look, you got to think about all scenarios, right? Let's say
Yes,
it didn't
sir.
work out, right? And the guy's going to take a little bit longer to develop. So
Right.
while he's developing, hey, let's give this guy some help, right? Shoot,
Absolutely.
let's chip on this guy. And sometimes I'll tell you, it's like when you're blocking the in line, you hear guys all the time, and maybe you don't hear it on like, hey man, chip this guy for me. Hey, just give him a little bit right here to slow him down. And
Yes,
so,
sir.
hey, there's nothing wrong with that, man. But I know Andy, being an offensive lineman, he understands. Hey, sometimes these guys, big guys, need help up front too. And if we can help a guy who may be a rookie coming in as our left tackle,
Right.
sure, give him a tight end, man. It's going to be able to give a couple of rib hooks, to a guy on the defensive end, slow him down. So yeah, I agree with that. I do.
Just to slow him down a step. Just to slow him down a step.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, my second question is for Mr. Warfield. I've got to throw some numbers at you, Mr. Warfield. 216th drafted, tied for 120th in passes defended all time in the NFL. Number 2 all-time pass defender for the Kansas City Chiefs, and tied for number 1 with Marcus Allen for the coolest eyes to ever look out of a Chiefs helmet. What do you think about Brett Veach's ability? How would you grade Brett Veach's ability to find talent late in the draft? I mean, you were obviously a mainstay for a 7th round pick. I looked at everybody that's picked in the 7th round, and there wasn't a single one of them that played ball hardly. And
Yeah.
you were in one of the best at it. How do you think he's done?
I think he's done a phenomenal job. He's come in and brought some guys in that have, not Pro Bowl type corners, but they've done enough to solidify the job that we need them for. Now, I think Breland is a Pro Bowl type corner.
Yes, sir.
Ward, young, he's making his rounds. Someday, depends on how long, what he does with the organization will basically solidify his time in Kansas City. So far, I like the picks that we have going in last year. It's so hard when you don't get the amount of pressure up front from your front 7 to be able to go out and to maintain certain coverages in a secondary. So
Yes,
with all that being said, not to take away from what those guys have done, but really a secondary is only going to be as good as what your front 7 can give you as far as pressure on a quarterback.
Well,
And most of the Hall of Fame guys that have had great careers have played with a great front 7.
yes, sir. And let me add on to that question then. If you were drafting, what characteristics would you look at in a late round draft pick that might make them a diamond in the rough that you think that you could shine on?
Awareness, number 1, because so many guys think that just because they're fast, they can cover anybody on the field. Speed is always good, but if you don't know if you're not aware of certain coverages, spacing on the field, what receivers lined up where, then it doesn't matter, because you can be put in situations to where if you're guarding the slot guy, you got a 2-way, receiver that can take you either way.
Right.
If you're guarding a smaller guy, a Tariq Hill on the outside, then yeah, you got to speed, you got to race on the outside. But then you have these other shifty and maneuverable receivers that are great route runners, to where if you're not able to come in and out of cuts, then your speed is pretty irrelevant. So I like the agile ones that are able to move and turn their hips and to be very cognitive of the ball and the awareness of where they are on the field.
Well, who's your 7th round sleeper pick this year then?
Ooh.
Not to put you on the spot, sir.
So our 7th round pick, I don't know what. So I'd like to see what we've already picked so far to enhance the team, and then to say, okay, that's the guy we need. So what is the draft next week?
It's coming up. I know that. I'm excited.
Yeah,
so I hope we can have you on, and I'll give you. You're on Twitter, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give you a shout out before the 7th round to let you know what I would pick for us on that team. So
I'll look forward to that.
Got it.
Can I ask one follow-up question? As both of you guys were former players, how are your fellow veterans dealing with their CTE and their TBIs, and what are your thoughts on CBD's neuroplasticity's ability to protect your brains on the inside of the helmet instead of just on the outside? I know Nick Lowry's a big advocate of this, and I'm wondering how your fellow players are maintaining their quality of life after pro football.
You know, everybody's got their own way of coping with life right now. You know, some guys are struggling, some guys are doing well. Some guys are kind of at that level to where they don't really understand if they're dealing with CTE or just management of daily life activities. So it's just a matter of you know, who and how they perceive their mental, I guess, how they deal with certain things in life. And as far as the CBD thing, yeah, Nick is big on it. I've never tried it. I've heard a lot of people, especially athletes, that have spoken on it and that love it. You know, maybe it's something in the near future that I might try it, but at the moment, I don't know enough about it to take a chance on it. And I mean, I support all the guys that are doing it, that it's helping their way of life.
Yes, sir.
Because I've had, you know, some of my teammates that have passed away. You know, we've got guys that are dealing with the guy just of last week that killed 5 people and then took his own life. You know, we've had a couple of those that have happened. So you hate to see situations get to that extreme. So as a way of managing it and how to control it, I don't know the answer to that. You know, that's a tough job for the NFL and the NFLPA. Because you don't know what every single person is dealing with on a daily basis. You know, I think they do a decent job to try to implement their benefits plans to help out guys in every situation. It's just a matter of you yourself as an ex-player taking full advantage of what's given, and then taking advantage of the support that you have around you. So there's so many ins and outs to it, to where it's a hard answer to it all. But you know, heck, I've even had my battles with depression and mental struggles, and heck, even memory loss. So but I try to stay in touch with family and friends to keep my mind, you know, fresh and to keep happiness throughout my life. So but yet again, it's a daily struggle.
I'm a former combat medic, and helped with the foundation, and we were blessed at the Super Bowl to be able to be with some of the NFL Hall of Famers. And one of their wives said there's nothing more frustrating than an alpha male who's come into the kitchen furious about something that can't remember why he's mad.
Yep.
Forgot from one room to the other. And that's a chronic CTE. So anyway, I really appreciate you all taking the time to answer my question.
I don't know if Jason has an input on it.
Yeah, so. I wanted to add on to it real quick, Chris.
Please, John.
And what I want to say is this. As far as dealing with the CBD, I think it would be in the NFL's best interest to actually do like a peer review to find out some more of these things, right?
Yes,
because
sir.
I think, and a lot of it is because of the pushback that you're getting is that the NFL is not doing enough. And sometimes when it ends up happening, you start seeing, because it came out that also too, that there might have been some type of bias, like racial bias, when guys were not be able to get some of the supplemental, money, to help
Right.
them out with CTE. And like he said, I've known several guys who deal with it, and sometimes these things can be evaluated until it's post-mortem, right? And that's the sad part of it.
Junior
Yeah.
Seau was a great
Say
example.
out, right?
The chest so they can study his brain.
Yes, right. When somebody tells you they shoot themselves in the heart and in the chest, says, I want my brain to be evaluated because I know I'm not thinking right, then that's an issue that everybody's like, wait a minute, we got to wake up to this. And so
Right.
I understand that you try to change the rules to try to, at least alleviate some of these things, the concussions and whatnot, but you're not going to be able to do it all. And I think what they say, as you know, as a comeback medic, it's not the forward concussions, it's the repetitive hits over and over again that get you, right? And
The
so,
time in between contacts is as important as the dynamic of when he won contact.
Yes. And so like he says, man, you always wonder about these things, like it's memory loss, because you always wonder, well, is it me getting older, right? Is it me just getting older forgetting things?
Every day.
Right. Or is this a symptom of something, a big issue that's going on? And nobody wants to go down that road of thinking that. So I'm 100% right with you of trying to do something to either delay the effects or I've looked at some of this as far as the Campbell door, as far as like rerouting the brain system and getting in, like you said, helping with depression, helping with some of the nervous system. And look, if anything can help a guy out to get away from, being in the position that way, why not do it? Why not NFL put some money into it, peer review, It's worth the effort. You're trying to save these guys. These guys play for, you all. We was doing out here, play a game to make everybody happy, to entertain. Man, take care of the guys. It's just that simple,
What did your mom say when you went in the store, knocked something off the shelf and broke it? You broke it, you bought it, right?
That's
And
right.
The Army or military, same way. You broke it, you bought it. NFL, you broke it, you bought it. Let's get these guys the treatment they need.
That's right.
I just want to let you both know what an honor it is as a lifelong Chiefs fan. I'm 52 years old. I was too young to remember the first Super Bowl. Definitely remember both of your careers in depth, and I really appreciated the way that you approached the game as professionals, on and off the field, with integrity and grace. And now that we are three-time AFC hosts of the championship game, I think that you got to be proud to have that red and gold background.
Oh, heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, hey, man, I take my hat off to you for your service.
Absolutely.
And for your
Yes,
phone
sir.
call in.
Yes, sir.
Call on the show anytime you want to, Chris.
Definitely,
Yes,
man.
sir.
That's really enjoyed it. Yeah, Chris, man, one of my guys, man, who was a combat medic, man, he's one of the best guys I know, man, and you're just like him. And the thing is, that's what I love about it, because he's a guy that has a great temperature on everything and everybody. He's just that type of guy, man. I could tell you one of those guys too, man. But yeah, definitely hats off to you, man. Appreciate your service, brother.
I certainly appreciate it. And now Eric Moorfield's tied for number one again.
Yeah.
He and I got the best looking barbers, that's for sure.
You know it.
Okay, well, you guys have a great show, the rest of the show, and thank you so much for spreading the word about Chiefs Kingdom. I appreciate y'all.
All right,
Thank you,
appreciate
man.
it.
Have a great night.
All right, brother.
Thank you so much.
Have a good one. That was awesome, man.
Awesome.
It's cool, it's like we've talked about this before. It's a Chiefs show, but when we get to talk about other topics and stuff, especially when our guests come on, bring these great topics up, these questions. It's always nice, to kind of, go 360 of what it's more than football. At the end of the day, it's more than football. And I do agree. I've had a conversation. It's funny that he brought the whole, the CBD and having that work with concussions and stuff. How you brought up the peer review. It's one thing to say, what's been done before, right? The NFL can say, that was before we knew about what CTE is and the brain injuries. But it's what you brought up, JD. There's going to be future. If we want football to last to our grandchildren, our great-great-grandchildren, we have to take care of, our players now. Do the research, do the work to try to mitigate and help and prevent as much as possible. And, stuff like,
and they try to fix things that we've done throughout the game. And I understand as much as we hate it. So I guess we're part of the old school, JD.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and I sit back and I complain a lot about, oh man, you can't be calling these kind of hits. You can't be calling, you know, these kind of plays. Like you're taking away from the game. But then it's like you look at the bigger picture of the game and where some of these guys sit at home, or if they're not sitting at home, how they've taken their lives to try to prove a point as to what they're dealing with. It's scary, man. It's 100% scary. But the great thing about it is that, you know what? Of everything that I know about anything about football, I'm talking about anything, inside out, good and bad, I would still go back and play it.
I agree with you. No doubt about it. And the good thing, this is what I love about it, is because, you talking about, dealing with these issues, and as we all are, that's played before, right? And it's always those questions of depression, or anxiety, you know what I'm saying? Things that we all deal with. And it's always that question, is this one of the things that is a reflection in a sense of playing football now, right? But I want to say, though, Ian, that's what I appreciate you, because just being able to just talk and just have a conversation, because it just brightens my heart and my spirit, man. Every time I'm able to just connect, man, and talk to you, and then all the guys, every time we're able to get together and just talk, man, it's just, those things are therapeutic, and we just need to continue to do more of that. Oh, yeah, definitely.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's one thing, how JD, you said like you don't know if like you're just having a normal day where you're getting older, so you're forgetting something. And it's one thing, I played a couple years of college football, right? That's as much as I got. But like the CTE, they say it can happen in one day of practice. You get the traumatic, and it can actually impact you for the rest of your life. Just one hit can do that. So like I don't know if I have a minor version of CTE, but like I will say I've noticed that as I've gotten older, there's been times where I'm forgetting everything, man. And I don't know, and that could be, just as I get older, I'm just forgetting stuff, just like common things, like where's my wallet? And I have my wallet in my pocket. And it happens quite often, actually, where I forget my car keys. Car keys are in my hand. I'm looking all around the house. Where the hell are the car keys? So it's crazy that we don't know if that's CTE, and you don't know the post-mortem aspect of it. And that's the kind of scary and sad thing of this disease. So
I'll tell you another guy that does great work with it too is Kyle Turley. So, check Kyle out too, man. He does.
Yeah, I follow him on Instagram.
Do you? Yeah, man. Kyle does a wonderful job, man. And I know he's a big advocate of it. And he's been going at the NFL to change these things. Like, look, these guys, need help. We don't want to be on pills. We don't want to deal with these things. We just want a better quality of life after we get finished playing. And so, like I said, I think it just be in the NFL's best interest, man, to kind of, do it for their look and the optics of it, but also too, just to protect the players,
Yeah.
And we need it.
Sure.
But,
Love it.
love you guys, man. Love you guys.
Yes, sir. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, that does it for us this week. So next week we have a treat for you guys. We're not going to tell you. We have a guest we have coming on next week. We're not going to say who. You're going to have to see for yourself when you come on next week. But actually, the next 2 weeks we have some guests coming on. So we're not going to say anything. You guys have to see for yourselves on Chief Concerns next week. But as always, follow us on @Concerns Chief on Twitter, and please subscribe and follow us on Believe Podcast Network, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those podcast networks.
Tune in. Follow.
That's right.
Guys, another great show of the books. And Eric, it was lovely having you back, man.
Yes, sir.
Y'all take it easy, man.
All right, my brother. All right,
Good night, guys.
I'll let you.